and welcome to WCN's first closer look of the year, and Happy New Year. I hope your 2026 is already off to a great start. And if you're new here, welcome to the WCN family. We're so glad that you're here. If you're new, you probably don't know who I am. My name is Zoe Ntlego. I'm a senior programs manager here at WCN, and it's truly my pleasure to introduce to you one of our newest partner organizations whose work represents exactly what's possible when science, community leadership, and conservation come together. The African Marine Conservation Organization, or AMCO as we fondly call them, works in Cameroon to protect aquatic megafauna and their habitats by advancing research, partnering with fishing communities, and promoting sustainable community-driven management of their marine and freshwater ecosystem. And the gentleman on the screen that we have is Dr. Aristide Kamla, who is AMCO's founder and the president. He's a marine biologist. He's a National Geographic explorer. He's just an all-round amazing guy. And for those who joined us last year at Expo, he is the superstar that absolutely rocked his first panel at WCN. We really do know how to pick them, the very best of the best at WCN, and you guys are in for a treat this Friday morning, afternoon, depending where you are. So, quick housekeeping before we jump in. Please drop your questions in the Q&A section throughout the presentation. Aristide will answer these at the end, and some of his teammates are actually on the chat and will jump in along the way. So you guys are not here to listen to me. So let's get on to why you're here. Aristide, over to you.
Thank you very much, Zoe. It's such a privilege for me to share with this wonderful audience that I've considered very many. So I'm very excited about it's a Friday, and here's 7 p.m. But it feels like it's the morning for me because I feel so much energy when I know that I'm going to share about the African manatee, this species that we know very little. One of the poorly known marine mammal species in the world. So just give me a few seconds to share my slide, and I hope that you all can see my slide now. All right. Yeah, so today I want to talk to you about two particular things. I want to talk about manatees, but I also want to talk about the local community, because for me, I think that you can't work with one without the other. If you want to protect manatees, you need to work with the local community. And if you want to make the local community improve their livelihood, you need also to save the manatee. And so that's why the title of my presentation today is conservation. Hold on, let me move this bar to this. Okay, enhancing Cameroon wetland conservation effectiveness through empowering local community. And in this presentation, I'm going to present two cases: the case of Lake Osa, where we started our conservation action, and then the Cam River, where we after we get some success in Lake Osa, we decided to expand our action of conservation into the Cam River. So I hope you're ready to dive in. Okay, so this is the picture of the African manatee. Normally, you will never see them like this in their natural habitat because most of the time they live in an environment that is very murky. So you only see the nose popping out of the surface, and they're very shy. They're shy because they live in an environment where they've been poached for centuries. And so that's why they kind of scared of human presence. But they are also very cryptic, because the habitat is very muddy. So what you can only see when you are in the habitat, their habitat is the mud plume as they're moving on the surface, and sometimes you can see even bubbles, and when you're lucky, you can see the nose. And this is an herbivorous. I started studying this species in 2011, and since then I've always stayed connected with the manatee. And even in my office, you can see I have this little manatee statue that I always keep with me when I'm not in the field. So the manatee are always close to me. But unfortunately, this species is facing major threats such as poaching and accidental catch in fishing net, and also habitat degradation or even pollution. And I'm going to explain to you how we've been able to work hand to hand with the local community in order to address some of those threats. And I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to talk about the case of Lake Osa, and then later on the case of the Cam River. And at the end, I'm going also to talk about how we've been working in collaboration with the local community in order to improve the knowledge on these species that is poorly known. So the reason why people poach manatee is mostly for the meat, but also is for as a retaliation for their nets that sometimes is destroyed by the manatees. So we've been receiving many situations, the report of situation where fishermen complain that not only manatee destroy their fishing net, but also they say that the manatees still fish from their nets. So normally the manatees are herbivorous, but it seems like sometimes they can have a carnivory behavior, but this is more opportunistic. So one of the ways that we've tried to solve this problem of poaching was first through education, telling people, the local community, the importance of protecting the African manatees, and also the risk of losing the manatee from the Lake Osa. But we didn't limit ourselves with just words. We needed to demonstrate to them how a manatee alive would be worth more than a dead manatee. So that's why we developed ecotourism in Lake Osa to promote not only the manatees, but the ecosystem, Lake Osa ecosystem in general. So we have this secret that we have built for tourists in the lake. And we also built this bungalow where the tourists could come and have some food there while enjoying, this wonderful, beautiful habitat that you see here. There are a lot of many birds, fish, butterflies. I mean, it's full of diversity. And we've trained some of the fishermen on how to become eco-guide, and providing tour services to the tourists and making an income out of it. Instead of killing the manatee, they is now showing the tourists where the manatee are, and they're making a living from that. And the women are not left behind. The women of the community, were also trained on how to make restoration, prepare food for the tourists. And you can see here how Mama Ariette is happily making a barbecue fish for the tourists. And this is fish coming directly from the lake, and it's very fresh and delicious. As you can see here on the picture, like this fish that when I see, I'm already very hungry. And the cassava made in different forms, here we call this one mitumba. If you see it yellow like this, it's because they add some palm oil on it. And this one is called miendo. It's so delicious. I invite you to join me, in Lake Osa, and appreciate this wonderful food from Lake Osa and see also the manatee. And other way that we've been supporting the community, it was to promote fish farming, knowing that fish is becoming scarce into the lake. We've trained the community on how to build first a fish farming, and how to the different step for producing fish from the larva stage to the adult stage. And they've already made 2 cycles of productions, and the production was quite important. They were made some mistake, but it's a learning process, and we're making progress on that. And you can see here the tourists enjoying the food made by the local community while enjoying the view of the lake. And so now let's talk about and the second threat to the lake, which is the invasion of the plant called Salvinia molesta. That is the plants that started invading the lake in 2017, 2018, to the point that it covered over 50% of the lake surface, preventing fishermen from fishing. As you can see, and on the picture, a fisherman that got stuck with his fishing net. He couldn't go back that day with any fish. And many of those fishermen could not send their children to school because, you know, there was no way for them to sell to catch the fish and sell them to make a living. And then also that to provide a solution to that, we needed to work hand to hand with the local community. And we gather them and we do what we call manual removal. But we quickly realized that the manual removal is not enough to keep up with the proliferation of this plant that multiply very fast. It double in biomass every 8 to 10 days. So that means if you have 1 ton of Salvinia this week, next week you're going to have 2 tons of them. And but still, this was still helpful, you know, because we also train them how to transform these Salvinia biomass into biological charcoal, so ecological charcoal that they could use to barbecue the fish and also to sell it and make some income. Then realizing that the manual removal was not strong enough, so we decided to move to add another fighting method, which is the biological control by the means of a tiny little insect called the Salvinia weevil, which is very specific. Again, I want to emphasize that it's specific to the Salvinia, which means that it feeds only on Salvinia and on nothing else. It took quite a time to convince the government and the local community about this method, as many of them were kind of skeptical about biological control. As you know, sometimes biological control, it doesn't work. So, but we took the time and collect enough information and do some experimentation before, introducing this weevil into the lake. And to make the story short, we introduced the weevil in 2021, and you could see now the difference. Before we introduced the Salvinia, the photo on the left, 2020, this is how the lake used to look like, and now this is how the lake is looking like. And I remember a month ago, I was taking some tourists there in the lake, and I was telling them about the Salvinia threat, how the lake has been suffered from Salvinia, and they asked me to show them, how Salvinia look like. We searched through the lake for a long time before finding a tiny Salvinia like this. So meaning the Salvinia is pretty much gone. And as a result of this lake restoration, there is now more fish into the lake. The fish production of the lake has almost recovered the value that it used to be before Salvinia started proliferating, and fishermen can now enjoy the fish. Not only the fishermen, even cormorant, are happily also getting the fish, and their population is increasing. And our friends, the manatees, are also back, because during the time where Salvinia was there, it was very hard to spot one. But now they're very common into the lake. 2 weeks ago, where I was there with my team, and in I think half of a day, we spotted 11 manatees, which is wonderful. So we can see that this restoration that we have done in collaboration with the local community is having some positive impact. So now let's now move into a different site called the Cam River that you see. It's somewhere around here, and this is Lake Osa. So the success that we have applied in Lake Osa has helped not only to stop poaching, but also to restore the lake. But poaching is not only happening in Lake Osa, it happens also in many other habitats across Cameroon, especially in this Cam River, where it is now the hotspot of manatee poaching there. So we needed to scale up the lesson learned or best practices that we have acquired from our 10 years, more than 10 years experience working in Lake Osa into the Cam River. So that's why when we started working there, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and the first thing that we did was to gather the local community, and then explain them about what we want to do, telling them about the manatee, its importance, and also asking them what are the things they would like us to do for them to support them to stop killing manatee, because it's one thing to tell them don't kill manatee, but if you don't find a way to also address their needs, it will become almost impossible for them to stop the poaching. So we have these brainstorming sessions with the local community, and from there we gather the information on their need, and we went to the implementation phase where we actually support them with some of the equipment that they requested from us to boost their agriculture. One of that is this water pump, and also some gear to spray their plants. And also we also train them on how to produce there's some detergent out of the materials or reagent that are locally available, and they're now producing this and selling in the market and making a living out of it. So and since we boost the agriculture, their production has more than doubled. I think last year they produced watermelons for almost with a benefit of almost $2,000. And the same thing for the habanero pepper. They produce habanero for a benefit of almost $800. So, and this collaboration has led to a situation where now we have some of the poachers who voluntarily come out and give give away their harpoon. So these are this gear that you see me holding in the hand is a harpoon that the harpoon they use to spear the manatees, and this fisherman has decided to voluntarily give his harpoon, and there are 8 of them who did the same thing, which is a sign that we are making progress on with our actions, and we need to continue multiply such action. So hopefully with your support, we plan, because we have done it only with 2 community, and it's important that we expand it in other community. So, and I believe that with your support, we can expand this action throughout in other villages that where we are not yet present, and also to increase the amount of support that we are providing into each villages. Now to the third part of my presentation, when I want to show you how with the local fishermen we've been able to build wonderful knowledge about marine species, not just manatee. Underwater or marine species in Cameroon and is on other low-income countries in Africa are poorly known. And the reason is that there are very few scientists, and also access to the technology to study these species is very expensive, and that technology is not available in country. We always have to go and purchase it, abroad. And I asked myself the question, should I just wait like this until maybe we become rich before we start doing something? No, I thought, and that's where the idea came to me to work in collaboration with the local fishermen, building this mobile app called Siren that I built in 2015 to help the fishermen contribute in building the knowledge on marine species. And what they do is that when they are in the water, so they use the application to take a picture, and the application will record the date, the time, and the GPS location, so we will know where they have spotted the animals. And the community of fishermen who are voluntarily using Siren is growing. It started in Lake Osa, now it's in entire Cameroon and in 10 other countries in Africa. And with this community, they're doing amazing work. For example, with the data that they have collected, we have an idea of the distribution of whale, dolphin, and manatees in Cameroon. Like the red dot that you will see is the whale that has been reported by the fishermen. And the green one, you can see this green dot, and this is Lake Osa that has been reported. These are manatees that have been reported around Lake Osa, and the yellow one are the dolphins. So you can see how working in collaboration with the local community is actually helping building some data that is useful to orient management measure. And also through that data, we've been able to advocate for the local, for the legal protection of 4 species of marine mammals in Cameroon, including the critically endangered Atlantic humpback dolphin. And also to finish with this data collected by the fishermen, we've been able to establish the first catalog of shark and rays in Cameroon. So we didn't know before this what are the species of shark or rays that occur in our coast. But thanks to the information brought by fishermen through the Siren app, we know that there are about 46 species of shark and ray, and that amounts them, there are 11 that are critically endangered. And with this information, we are now designing some conservation actions to improve the conservation status of those species. And Siren is not just about collecting data, but it's also about changing the fisherman mindset. Many of the fishermen who joined the Siren network went from being maybe people who kill the manatees or dolphins to become their advocate. Like here, this fisherman, the second who is at the level of the hump of this dolphin, he used in the past, what he will do when he catch a dolphin accidentally like that is that he will just chop it and share it with the community, sell it, and make a good soup out of it. But since it is a joint Siren, he realized that this is not a good behavior, and that the right thing to do is to release the animal. And this is exactly what he have done here with his friends. So they decided to this dolphin that they captured accidentally, they release it back into the water and they send the video to us. We were not even there. So this was just wonderful. So again, this is how working in hand to hand with the local community can also help improving the status of some of these threatened species. So with the local community, we also it's not just about data or science. We also celebrate together. We celebrate manatees. We celebrate wetlands during an event that we call the Street Manatee event that we try to organize every year to raise awareness about wetlands and manatee protection. And you can see how the women of the community, the young people, they were engaged into this celebration. There was also some the canoe race, dancing, and many other engaging activities were done that day. So now let me just talk about some perspectives that we're having in the coming month. So remember, I told you that when Salvinia started occurring in Lake Osa, we couldn't see a manatee at that moment. So now the question that we ask ourselves is, where did the manatee go during that time? Because we know that we have a strong conservation action in Lake Osa. That's why there's no more poaching. But maybe where the manatee moved to, there's not protection there, and some of the manatee are being killed as they're moving there. So we need to know where those places where they go to make sure that they even receive protection, even in their different migratory sites. So for that, we need to capture the manatee and put a tag on them. And this time we're going to put an acoustic tag. This is going to be the first time this will be done in Cameroon. We are planning to do this in April, and it's a very challenging activity because it requires heavy logistics to do that. Unfortunately, we don't have yet the proper logistics for that, but I hope that with your support, we'll be able to slowly, build our logistics to perform this kind of action safely for the manatee and for the team. And then the other perspective that we have is to address a threat or a challenge that is becoming very important for the lake as is may destroy the lake if nothing is done. This image shows deforestation around Lake Osa, how people are now cutting trees. And when they cut those trees, it exposes the soil to erosion. And when there's erosion, there's sedimentation. And this lake is already shallow during the dry season. The depth is only 2 meters. And the ideal depth for the manatee is 2 meters. Less than that, it becomes no more, it's not suitable for the manatee anymore. So we're already at the limit of the suitable water depth for the manatee. So if there's more sedimentation, we are losing more and more ground for the manatee if this deforestation continues. So where is this deforestation coming from? So let me illustrate it through this image. So over here you have Lake Osa. I hope you can see where I'm putting the mouse. So you have, this is Lake Osa. And this is a protected area that was created during the colonial time, 1948. But unfortunately, they didn't clearly demarcate what is the limit of this protected area. And also the status of this protected area is very weak because it's just a wildlife reserve. So, and because of that, here you have people from Douala, which is the biggest city of Cameroon and fastly expanding. And there's also a lot of industry that are building around here. And as the city is expanding, there is more and more land title demand between these two areas. And the area in pink represents the forest or tree loss between 2001 and 2024. And you can see that the pink area is gradually coming very close to the lake. So it means if we don't do anything, the forest around this lake will disappear. And if it disappears, then the rate of erosion and pollution will be, is going to go very fast. And we want to avoid this. And we have the solution on how we can stop this problem. The first thing would be to improve the conservation status of this lake from being just a simple reserve to a sanctuary. And second, to make sure that we extend the limit of this sanctuary to include the forest around the lake, making sure that that land is secure and nobody is going to buy a land there and will not cut trees there. And third, make a management plan and enforce that management plan. That way, we are sure that the lake will be safe, for sustainably. But for this to happen, again, we cannot do it by ourselves. We know how to do it, but we don't have the resources to make it happen. And I believe that you are going to join us to make Lake Osa safe for the African manatee. And I just want to wrap up with sharing with you some of the image of our recent activities here on the coast of Cameroon. We don't only work in wetlands, but we also do ocean protection. And this is an activity that is also very new or recent for Cameroon. I'm one of the first scientific divers in Cameroon, so we're just breaking the surface of the ocean. And just recently, with the collaborator Septentrion from France, we have trained many local scientists, fishermen, and even conservation agents on how to dive. And the team is now diving, and they can document these wonderful habitats under the ocean. Like here, you can see a sea turtle feeding area, a field of sea fans, sponges, fish again, starfish, like it's really beautiful. So my team and I is actually having fun on the ground, discovering this wonderful habitat below the ocean. And the idea is that we're going to collect the data and use that data to establish a management plan for this protected area. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Aristide, for that inspiring presentation. I've seen manatees in Florida. Even though I am from South Africa, I didn't even, prior to working with you, I didn't even know about African manatees, which is embarrassing. So now I'm officially dreaming about a trip to Cameroon to see the African manatees. And if anyone in the room wants to organize a supporters trip, please raise your hand and we will reach out to you because let's go. So while everyone gets their questions going, I'm gonna start with my questions because I get to ask things first. So, how did you even get interested in manatees, Aristide?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Honestly, it was the matter of chance. I remember I was doing my master by then at the University of Chang, and I was taking a course called Literature Review, and the teacher one day gave an assignment with a list of topic to be choose on a first come first serve basis. And unfortunately, I wasn't in class that day, so my classmate picked up what was the famous topic: elephant, giraffe, all those emblematic species. And I was only left with this topic. I can remember exactly how it was written. Study the aquatic megafauna of Cameroon. And I was like, what is this topic? What is even aquatic megafauna? I know that aquatic is water, fauna, yeah, animals, mega, what is mega? It says, the dictionary say animals over 45 kilograms. And I started Google, what are those species over 45 kilograms that we have on our coast? So I came across dolphins, which was not a surprise for me, whales, sea turtles. And again, it wasn't a surprise until I came across the African manatee. I'm like, what is this weird animal? I didn't even know that we could have something like that in our water. And I started diving, started searching through the literature to learn more about the species and realizing that exactly we have these species in Cameroon, but unfortunately, there are no scientists working for their protection. And the species is highly threatened, with poaching and all these threats that I mentioned. And so that actually pushed my curiosity to decide to pick the manatee as my master research topic. So, and from there, I had to move from my hometown in the mountain area of Cameroon down to the coast, different culture, different environment, and in order to encounter the African manatee for my first time.
That's amazing. Look at you. You like this was clearly chance that everyone chose all the other species and now you were stuck with this one because look now, this is literally your life's work. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Because what was supposed to be just an assignment became a life assignment for me because now we're working at Aquatic Megafauna at AMCO.
Amazing. What I forgot to tell everyone is that if you ask a question, I get to shout out your name. So let me do an example. Lucas would like to know if the Salvinia has fully been eradicated, and do the communities have other sources of charcoal?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, the Sardinia has completely been eradicated. There's just some leftovers, like in very, very remote area of the lake. And that means, unfortunately, the community cannot have access to charcoal from Salvinia. They can make charcoal out of other materials, but not no more with Salvinia because there's no way for them to access Salvinia. And I think they prefer the situation like that because the same people who are producing charcoal were also fishermen. So they would rather have fish than charcoal.
Good. Good to know. Um, so you're a new partner at WCN, which is a very long process. People don't know this, that you seek this partnership for years and years, and we're just like, yes, yes, we're working on it. You finally made it. What are you looking forward to being part of the partner network at WCN?
Being part of this network first is, I think it's going to be inspirational for me because the WCN network is composed of top-notch conservationists, that are really achieving amazing things for, wildlife around the globe. And being part of them, really will help me to get more and more inspired about the different solutions that they're applying and see how I could use those solutions also. But the other important aspect of it is that WCN is also, have this a network of supporter donors, people who like wildlife, although they cannot be on the field, but they are ready to support, to give, to make things happen even at distance. So, such kind of support is going to be tremendously helpful for us here on the field to stop the deforestation that is coming very close to Lake Osa to stop the poaching in other habitat where manatee are still being poached, to put in place management plans and many other conservation needs that is at our door now.
Amazing. Well, you guys, you heard that. WCN Partner Network is gonna, I forgot the word that you used, but it's just amazing. Conservationist, and that's true. I mean, that's true. Donna would like to know, what do the manatees eat? And do they eat the salvina?
Oh, that's actually a wonderful question. So initially, I thought that because when Salvinia started proliferating, I was doing my PhD, at the University of Florida, but doing my fieldwork in Cameroon. And I was actually looking for, one of my chapter was focused on the manatee diet in Lake Osa. So I was literally going through, I was like a feces poacher. Like each time I see a manatee, sorry for the word, poops, I will run after it and collect it and save it, because in those feces, you have DNA for the genetic analysis, but you also have plant fragments that we could use to look through the microscope and see what plant that fragment matches with. And unfortunately, we couldn't see from with I exported over 500 manatee feces in the US, by the way, and looking through them to see, the different fragments. And unfortunately, I didn't see any of those feces with Salvinia. And the reason, so this means that manatee doesn't eat Salvinia. And unfortunately, because if they were eating Salvinia, I think that would have also been another way of controlling the proliferation of Salvinia. And one of the reasons that they don't eat Salvinia is because Salvinia is just full of an element that we call tannin. And tannin makes digestion very difficult for herbivores. So, which is, that is most likely the reason why they were not feeding on Salvinia.
I'm I'm imagining the conversations that you were having every time you were coming through the with the border patrol officers about, so what do you have in there, sir? It's poop samples. Wait, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Science, science.
that's exactly how it happens. Each time I was passing through their border controls, they would ask me that question, like, "What are you doing here with manatee poops?" You know?
Oh, goodness. So how important is Lake Osa for the overall population of the West African manatees?
For me, I consider Lake Osa as the capital city, the global capital city of the African manatee, because this is the unique place where you can easily spot a manatee, even though you will not see it on its entire body, at least, but you see the nose as it's popping up the surface. And also is one of the longest manatee conservation program on the continent. Like, we have been surveying manatee in Lake Osa for over 14 years now, and we have gathered experience in manatee conservation there. So it's also like a laboratory where we do some, testing, research method, conservation method for these species. And even this manatee capture and health assessment is going to be the first time this will be done in Cameroon, and in certain instance in Africa. And this is going to start in Lake Osa because it will be easy to catch the manatee there. So it's also a place where we can educate people about the importance of manatee. And for me, the Lake Osa means the beginning of my career. This is also where everything started for me. It's like my village now. It's like a home for me. It's very dear to me, Lake Osa.
Wow, that's the capital city of Manatee. That's pretty impressive. And obviously, with the new problem, Salvina is eradicated, gone, check. But
Yeah.
obviously, the life of a conservationist never ends. So now there's a new problem, deforestation, that you spoke about. What are some of the activities that you and your team would have to do to protect Lake Osa from all this deforestation that you mentioned?
Yes. So the activities that need to be done here are of different levels. So it has to be done at the level of the administrative level, and the politics, like the way this is where I have to like leave the field and wear my suit, my jacket, put my tires, and go and talk to the minister, in order to make some advocacy about the importance of are changing the status of the conservation status of the lake from a reserve to a manatee sanctuary. And it was just only a month ago I was talking to the minister of forestry and wildlife about it, and I was happy that it was very open to this. So there is a political willingness, and which is sometimes what is missing the most. That now we have the political willing available, right? And so now the other need now is to go on the field, make a feasibility study to understand. So what are the areas that need to be protected? We need to map out the key area within that forest that need to be protected. We need to gather the stakeholder and together develop a management plan and then implement that management plan. So the only thing that is missing the most now is financial resources.
Okay. Well, you brought it up, so now and other people have brought it up too, the cost of these things. So I remember when you and your colleagues were talking about Life Aquatic last year at Expo. You spoke about how expensive marine conservation is due to the cost of equipment, water ruining all the equipment. So, and also a little birdie told me that you at AMCO and your team are building the first diving school in Cameroon, which I'm sure is not cheap. So, what are some of the needs for the project? I'm not done because other people also want to know. Lucas wants to know, are you looking to tag several manatees? How much is a tag?
Yeah.
And how is it attached? But also Anne wants to know what is the special equipment and logistics that is needed to tag manatees? And all of this ties around what is the financial cost of running this big undertaking?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, so we are planning to tag 10 manatees. And and this is very special tag because we don't want to put satellite tag on the manatee as is done for the older manatee, like the Florida manatee, for instance, where they put satellite tag, and the satellite tag has to be in a float that stay on the surface and communicate with the satellite. But if we do that for manatee here in Cameroon, it can put the life of the manatee in jeopardy. It can jeopardize their life because it will expose them to the poachers. So that's why we went for a different type of tag, acoustic tag that stay on the water. So it means that we need to put some acoustic receiver across the habitat of the African manatee. And for this one, we would like to start with 10 acoustic receiver and 10 acoustic emitter. And the total for the cost of the tag is about $35,000. But this is not where the most of the cost is. The highest cost is on acquiring a special kind of boat which allow to easily capture the manatee. It's called a manatee capture net. We don't have it yet. And it's only produced in the United States because the United States has long experience doing this with the Florida manatee. And recently when I was in Florida, we asked for an estimate and it was about $150,000, and you have to add to that the cost of shipping the boat here in Cameroon, which by the end it will probably go around 200 and something dollars when you add the custom cost and so on. Yeah.
Wow, that was a lot of numbers. Okay, but you know what? I know that everyone here wants to see this work happen, and if you are new here, you may not know. Our supporters know this. If you decide that you would like to contribute and support this work and you send a donation through WCN, someone is going to put the link on the chat and you send it, you say, this is support for AMCO for their project. We will send 100% of whatever you send us to AMCO to help with all of this. That was a lot of big amounts that you mentioned. A boat coming from America going all the way to Cameroon. That sounds like a logistical nightmare, but if I know someone who's gonna do it, it's gonna be you. So I know that people are keen to support and please make sure you support this work, and we will send all of the donations that you send directly to AMCO.
Yes.
So
And the
now would
manatee,
yes,
just to
sorry.
clarify that the manatee capture, we capture and health assessment event is going to happen in April. It's going to be around the 11th of April. So you feel free to even join us on the field if you want to see the African manatee for the very first time.
Yes, I know someone is already planning this trip for all of us, so sounds amazing. So now I would like to know, what do you foresee as being the team's biggest accomplishment in the year 2026?
So for 2026, our biggest achievement are manatee wise. So I'll talk because we have other aspects that we're going to cover. It would be really to do this feasibility study for the changing the status of of Lake Ocean. So this is really dear to us. We really need to do this. And second, I forgot to mention this. We are also working on establishing our first manatee rehab center. I mean, it's the first rehab center in Africa, by the way. Just to make a small story about this, there are about 22 African manatees that are kept in captivity in aquaria around the world, mostly from in Asia. These were healthy manatee that were captured and brought there. But this is not what we want. We want a kind of a hospital for the manatee where we bring only animals that are either orphaned, they cannot survive by themselves in the wild, or injured manatee that we will bring in that hospital, provide them some health care, and when they are good enough to be released, and that they are released back into their natural habitat. And while they are being rehabilitated, it's also an opportunity for people to see the manatee on the entire body, to educate children, and to promote the conservation of the species. And we are really dreaming to see this happen. And our biggest challenge for this regarding this project for this year is to secure the land for that, and also to make a master plan and start raising funding to make it happen in the upcoming years.
Wow, so much happening. Justin would like to know, what has been a challenge that you did not expect when you started working at AMCO?
So the challenge that I was not expecting was Salvinia. I'd never expected that I would move from a zoologist to a botanist. You know, when Salvinia started rising in Lake Osa, in the beginning, it was not affecting manatee. For me, I was like, oh, this is not my business. Probably that plant will disappear. And as time was going by, we realized that manatee were becoming rare as a result of Salvinia. So we need to now start finding a solution for that, although we are not botanists. And we learn. That's why I always say to my team, there's nothing, they never say that you can't do something. There's always a possibility if you have the willing. There are always resources out there. There are always people that you can rely on. So I've worked in collaboration with many researchers around the world that has supported me, who has provided me the resources, intellectual resources, technical resources, and even the waiver that we brought in Cameroon. It came from Louisiana State University. So this is where collaboration is very important to address many of those solutions, because those solutions, you don't learn how to solve those solutions in school. Never, because the problems are of different nature, different complexity. So there's no one size fit all. So you really have to brainstorm with a team of collaborators and find a specific solution to your problem. And I'm glad that we were able to solve that problem. And we're now moving to the next one.
That's so true. You never learn some of these things in school. It's interesting how we all went into wildlife conservation because we love the species, but you end up working botany, which is not the species, working with government, which is people. It's got nothing to do with the species itself that you wanted to work on. Okay,
Right.
so we're asking last few questions. So I'm in the US. Most people on this chat are probably in the US, and they're like, well, what can I do? How can I help? Like, what is my part here? I want to support this work, but what can I do? What can people in the US and not in Cameroon, all over the world, anywhere but Cameroon, like that feel like I'm not on the ground, so I can't really do anything on the ground. What can they do?
I would say thank you for that question. I would say the first thing to do, check out our website or our page on the WCN, with a brand new website, by the way, and yeah, and share it with friends, so that they know the work that we are doing, so they know about the African manatee. I would like that in the next 5 years, manatee is no more considered as the one of the poorly known species, marine species. I want everybody to know about manatee. And the second way you could also help is, come join us, volunteer. There's always a space for you to volunteer, spend time with us, and learn more about what we're doing, and bring your hands, your mind, and make things happen. And the third way, would be for you can come here, you can support financially through WCN, and we'll be show you the result of the work that we are achieving on the ground through our different platform and website.
So you stole my line about the new website. Thank you very much. So now I can't even say it. But he's right. There is a great new, brand spanking new website. And I just saw somebody put it in the chat that you must check out and see all the other amazing work being done by all the amazing stellar conservationists that we have. One final question that I had, I forgot who sent it. Let me see if I can find it now. Um, oh, it was about when people poach manatees, what are they poaching them for? Do they eat them?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the saddest news, is that they will kill the manatee, a big manatee like that took almost 30 years to build that body size, and in just couple of hours, they destroy that life, and just for meat, unfortunately. And some of them, they also kill the manatee as a retaliation for the fact that manatee has destroyed their net or have stolen their fish, their fish from their fishing net. Yeah, and that's why we keep educating them on the importance of not killing the manatee, but valorizing them through ecotourism.
Amazing. So I said last question. I have one more. I get to run this show. So I know some of your team members, and it's young Cameroonian conservationists, which is so inspiring. And I know that you do a lot of mentorship, like mentoring young up and coming conservationists. What gives you hope about conservation and where things are going? We hear a lot about how Gen Zs are this or that. They only want to be YouTubers, but like clearly your
Mm.
team is out in the field, they're doing this work. What's giving you hope about the future generation of conservationists?
Yeah, amazing question. What gives me hope is that, when I started doing manatee conservation, I was almost just by myself. I didn't have even a mentor, a mentor locally to do this. But as time went by, I saw how young generation coming to me saying that, oh, I want to do manatee conservation, I want to study dolphin, I want to study whale, and slowly we are building this large young community of researcher and conservationists. When I started AMCO in 2020, in 2014, we were only like 2 or 3 people in the organization. And now we are almost 25 or more, right? And there's many people even knocking at the door, but unfortunately, we don't have enough resources to accept them, to let them in. And there were just only few organizations doing marine conservation. The number of organizations doing marine conservation is increasing. And that's what is really giving me hope, because I'm seeing interest from the young generation. on marine conservation. The fear for the water is disappearing because people were so afraid of water. And now, like just 4 years ago, there was zero scientific divers in Cameroon. But the moment I'm talking, you saw the photo I show you, there are like 30 of them now ready to dive, explore the ocean. And that really gives me hope that in the next 10 years, this community will grow bigger and bigger and will be able to take the conservation message into the state to the stakeholder at the legal level, at the administrative level, at the even private sector level to make a difference.
As the young ones say, mic drop. That was amazing. That also gives me so much hope that young people are still interested in wildlife conservation. It's not a dying career because we still care about these species. So, everyone who's here, obviously, you care about wildlife, and please continue supporting this work and make sure that there are more divers in Cameroon and elsewhere. And as you know, we will send all of the contributions directly to AMCO and any other project that you support. Aristide, this was amazing. I could talk to you all day, but I'm sure you are hungry. You showed us food right at the beginning. I'm sure you are hungry and you are tired. It's the end of the day for you. So I want to thank you. And I see, oh, you have a plushie. Okay, tell us about the plushie before I wrap this up.
He's just excited. He's very excited. His name is Aristide, like me. So this is Aristide. He's excited that you're gonna do so many good things to save him and his colleagues that are in the water. So he's so excited.
Amazing. Thank you, Aristide. And thank you, everyone. If you did not get a chance to have your question or thoughts addressed, please send them to an email address that someone is going to put in the chat right now. And we'll make sure that someone follows up with you. And if today's conversation moved you, which I hope it did, one of the most powerful ways to stand alongside this work is through your support. And we have mentioned how you get involved by contributing, supporting this work, and through WCN. And if you loved what you heard today, which I'm sure you did, because why wouldn't you? We'd love to see you in person at our Wildlife Conservation Expo this October in San Francisco, where you can meet Aristide and many more incredible conservationists who are part of the partner network. And we'll also be hosting another one of these webinars called The Closer Look with another new WCN partner organization, the Hirola Conservation Program, on February 27 at 10 a.m. Pacific. Please join us. Again, check out our new website, reach out, support the work. You have officially started your weekend with something super special. A first-hand look at the impact happening in Cameroon and how all of us can be part of this solution. I hope you carry this inspiration through the rest of your weekend and for the rest of the year. Bye for now, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Bye bye.